you know that every word you speak matters? Are your conversations making a difference? With a passion for words and a heart for conversation, Teresa Velardi is a self-professed word nerd, best-selling author, BizCat 360 columnist, and publisher. Children's books as well as fiction and nonfiction books are welcomed at We Be Books Publishing and Book Endeavors, the imprints of her company, Authentic Endeavors Publishing. Whether written or spoken, Teresa strives to encourage and inspire meaningful conversations that make a difference. Here's the host of Conversations That Make a Difference, Teresa Velardi.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Conversations That Make a Difference. I am Teresa Velardi, and I'm really excited to have my guest here, Kimberly Rinaldi, who we'll get to in just a minute. I just want to thank everyone for watching, and remember that you can watch live every Tuesday and Thursday, the first and third Tuesday. The show airs every Tuesday and Thursday and Wednesday. Yeah, hello. I'm having a really great day. Every first and third Tuesday is live, and every Tuesday, 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. are available for you to listen to. You won't find me at 5 in the morning, but I will be here at 5 in the afternoon on the first and third. So I just want to let you know that I know Kimberly Rinaldi for many years. And although as time goes on and people lose touch with one another, sometimes the people that are supposed to be in your life swing back and they show up again. And that's the case with Kimberly. So let me just tell you a little bit about the impressive bio of my guest today. Kimberly is a speaker, author, radio show host, and she shares her decades of experience as a certified master trainer in hypnotherapy, EFT, NLP, success coaching, Reiki, and other healing modalities. In the spirit of empowerment, she provides you with tools that you can use for a lifetime. After creating a successful private coaching practice, she now teaches lessons in joyful living through her radio show and on Lessons in Joyful Living Radio Network. And we're honored to have her here on Dream Vision 7. With millions of monthly listeners, Kimberly, her guests, and her team of hosts are touching and empowering others, proving you can break through any and all barriers. Having come from a background that included lovely things such as domestic violence, childhood abuse, substance and self-abuse, Kimberly found she was consistently making poor choices. Can any of you relate to any of this? I know I can. Essentially, she was reliving the trauma and drama she had experienced growing up. Then at age 28, she had recently been married, changed her job, bought a new home, and had major health challenges. 4 in the top 10 of life's stressors all around the same time. Kimberly realized she didn't want to live that way anymore, stressed, hurting, angry, and feeling the burden of shame and guilt of her past and her choices. She realized she wanted to be happy. Even more, she wanted to be joyful. And I know that you're going to get us a definition of each of these sometime during this conversation. There is a difference. She applied the tools, the skills, the training that she had mastered and made the decision to heal her life. Kimberly ultimately believes there is a lesson in everything, and when you can bless the lesson, you have found the healing. You are not your past, and you have the ability to be better than you were, better than where you come from. Her passion for helping others heal and find joy in their lives is evidenced in her commitment to sharing all that she has learned and experienced through her own healing process. For these reasons, Kimberly launched Lessons in Joyful Living in August of 2014, bringing voice, vision, gifts, and lessons to others. She states, finding your lesson in joyful living is only half the equation. Sharing it with others is truly why you're here. She lives in Whittier, California with her husband, who she calls Mr. Rinaldi. She has a Basenji and a ragdoll fur baby. She enjoys yoga, reading, and travel. And when she's home, you'll find her hanging out in her gardens. Most importantly, she balances her busy life by living and teaching others how to live joyfully. Kimberly, welcome. How are you?
Fabulous. Thank you for having me, Teresa. I love spending time with you. I love what you're doing. And if I can spend just a little bit of time hanging out in your world and getting some of your goodness, then it's a good day.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing. Thank you so much for those kind words. So, tell me a little bit, let's start with what I said that we'll talk about. What is the definition, the difference between happiness and being joyful?
So happiness is externally situated. It happens when things happen. I'll be happy when I get married, when I finish school, when I pay off the bills, when I buy a house, when I have the family. It is the externalized goal setting that it actually does bring us happiness. There's nothing wrong with that. Joy is a deep-seated, internalized situation that no matter what's going on outside, you know you are bigger than what you are in the moment. You are more than what you're experiencing at that time. You're more than your past. You're more than your present. You're more than your future. You understand where you sit within the universe, and no one can take that from you. It's powerful. It's peaceful. It is euphoric, and it is truly joy.
Great definition. And so important in these crazy times we're living in. And now as we start entering into the mindset and the time frame of the holidays, I mean, can you believe Thanksgiving is only 3 weeks away?
I barely got through. I seriously, what was it? Halloween a couple days ago. And I'm like, just let me have Thanksgiving. Don't start playing carols. Don't start throwing things at me that are holiday related beyond the next one.
Right. So with the holidays coming, and with the holidays comes not just the stress of doing your best to make sure that you get your to-do list filled, which is always a challenge for many of us. But also we have the great gift of spending time with family and friends who maybe we don't see but once or twice a year. And this is usually the time they come into our lives and they press the button on whether or not we can live in the happiness mode. But thank goodness we have joy in the back pocket, or in the heart center.
Right. And honestly, so much of everything I teach comes down to you have an internalized system that tells you you're moving in the right or wrong direction, because things either feel good or they don't. And I think you have a responsibility. No, I don't think you have a responsibility, because nobody else is going to do it. We play roles. And we fall into these roles, and other people expect us to play these roles, and they are sister, daughter, mother, wife, aunt, cousin, whatever they are, employee, employer, coworker, friend. People expect us to show up in these roles without ever having changed, without ever having grown past the last moment they were with us. When we change, it's difficult because they have to relearn us. So we give them that grace. By having boundaries and clear communication and explaining to people what's acceptable in your world and not. And that comes especially true at the holidays, because you're going to be not only forced back into roles that people want you to play, but it's going to be in a confined, contained area with people from your past, especially if you're getting together with family. And they all want you to show up the way they remember you. And for me, unfortunately, a lot of times I'm the bad guy. I'm the, can I use language?
Go right ahead. Be gentle with them, though. Be gentle.
I'm the asshole. And I own that, because there was a long time in my life where I really was, because I wasn't happy. So when I go back into those circumstances, I have to give people the grace of understanding that's who they've known me to be I'm 55 this year, for 55 years, 3 days out of the year that they spend time with me. So they've got 55 years of 3 days out of the year that they spend time with me. They don't know who I am. I can give, again, I can communicate, I can share my boundaries, I can communicate where I am in circumstances, or I can choose to remove myself from circumstances. But to expect other people to jump up and embrace who you are, there's a saying, God didn't give them your vision, he gave you your vision.
Right, exactly.
So you've got to remember that you're not here for anybody else. From death to birth, from birth to death, you are you. Those roles that I was saying all interchange and overlap in different points. But you owe nobody nothing. You owe no one anything. You don't owe no one nothing. You are here for you.
Yeah.
And that internal compass that tells you if you're moving in the right direction or not, you've got to learn to start following it.
Yeah.
And it may mean that sometimes you spend holidays alone.
Yeah.
Or you spend holidays with family of choice, or you start your own family and your own traditions, or you just let go of expectations and give people an opportunity to relearn Kimberly.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways to do it, but miserable holidays should never happen. I don't let them happen in my world.
Yeah.
I go find the holiday joy and cheer and make it happen for me.
Yeah. So that being said, I guess it's okay to exclude people from the invitation list.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, honestly, there are people that you are born into relationships with that if they lived next door to you, you'd be driving into the garage, hitting that garage door opener without making eye contact. This is not somebody that you would necessarily want to socialize with or spend your time with.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You're protecting your energy. You're taking care of you. You are your highest priority, even if you're a mom, because you got to take care of you before you can take care of the littles.
Yeah.
You know, so focus on you, bring that attention back.
It's true. It's okay to say no. And that's a difficult thing for a lot of people, especially around the holidays, because there's ultimately always somebody who says, well, where is so-and-so?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really an interesting, I want to say that I think there's a bit of a joke, tongue in cheek, that God plays on us
Mm-hmm.
when it puts us all in one family and says, okay, go play. And the next thing you know, the boxing gloves come out.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you know, it's interesting. It's just an interesting time to spend with people who, as you say, don't know you. They don't know who you are. They don't know who you've become. They remember childhood things. And some people are just stuck in that, especially, and let's go to some of your coaching and some of your programs and how you help people to become who they truly are, single and separate from those who we call friend or family or whatever. You know, how is what you do, how does what you do help people to become themselves, where they can, in such a way that they can learn what you just talked about, setting boundaries. It's okay to say no. You know, let's talk a little bit about what some of the things that you are able to teach people.
So there is actually a framework to living joyfully. And the first step is owning your values, identifying and truly incorporating and standing up for what's important to you. Because until you know that you're capable of standing up for what's important to you, the next step won't happen. And it sounds counterintuitive, and I used to try and do it the other way, but it doesn't work. So you have to own your values, and then you have to know your value. Because when you own your values, all of a sudden you shift to the top priority. And then you can know your value. You can inherently know that you are valuable in who you are, and you don't have to tolerate, excuse, or compromise in order to fit into circumstances, in order to feel like you're a part of something. Because if you're not in the right, what I call circle of support, you go out and you create your own. You go out and you find one. You go out and you create, again, family of choice. And there's nothing wrong with that. I have family that I grew up with. We're talking convicted felons, ugly, ugly circumstances. Not only are these not people that I want to sit across from at a dining room table, I don't want them living next door to me because they are on certain registries that you don't want them in your neighborhood. Okay. So that being said, I had someone reach out to me about 3 years ago wanting to reconnect because this is a blood relative. And my response was, this is not going to happen. The behavior exhibited is not something that I allow anywhere in my life, near my life. I don't wish any ill on you, but you've made choices that put you out of my life permanently. There's no pulling this back. So that being said, you have to own your values, know your value, and to be able to stand and say something like that to a blood relative that you were essentially raised with, that there is nothing in me that was conflicted about that, because my values state this is not acceptable. My values states this is not something that I want in my world. So own your values, know your value, contribute your worth. Those 3 steps, and there's a few other little ones in between, but those 3 steps are the major steps to living joyfully, because you're not self-conflicted. You're not doing things that, what I say, dim your light or create conflict within you, because you're going against what's important to you. And then when you're at that point where you're in that, what I call joyful state, where you have such balance about who you are and what you're here for, whether you're working in healthcare or you're walking dogs for a living, you're doing it with your whole heart and soul for the right reason. It's the whole, you'll never work a day if you do what you love.
Yes.
And if what you love is the thing that you're here to share with the world, that's contributing your worth. You are bringing to the table something valuable and sharing it with the rest of the world. So, excuse me, if you're a customer service rep, thank you, no problem. That's not bringing your whole to the table. Things like, it's my pleasure. That's what I'm here for. We've lost that somewhere. People don't take ownership, responsibility for the thing that they do for a living, partly because they're not in love with it a lot of the times, but you made a commitment to do that until you figure out what it is that you're in love with. Practice falling in love with the work while you're looking for the career.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really, when you look at life from these simple frameworks, these simple steps, if you own your values, nobody's going to stand up and cross you and make you feel smaller, because it's not possible. When you know your value, you can't get into these things.
Right. Exactly. So go back to values for a second, just for people who may not know how to differentiate between knowing your value, owning your values, and then knowing your value.
Okay.
None of this has to do with money.
No.
And none of this has to do with money. This has to do with who you inherently are, correct?
Absolutely.
So just for some samples, maybe you want to give a short list of what you mean when you say own your values.
And I'll give you an example that I use when I'm working with women to define what they want in their next relationship. I will ask them to write down the top 10 things that are what they've learned over developing relationships that are the reverse mirror image. Because sometimes we're better at identifying what we don't want than what we do want.
Exactly.
So I will tell me the top 10 things that you have learned. If you could identify and define a new relationship, These are the 10 things you will never tolerate, excuse, or allow in your world again. And things like infidelity. I mean, the obvious things come up. Okay. So, and we use 10 just because it's easy for math. And then I have them identify how many they've excused or tolerated, or how many they are currently. And it's amazing. I've had women 0 out of 10. That's 0%, ladies and gentlemen. That is, I'm not good at math, but that one I got. And they're in that relationship at that moment where all 10 of their top values are being compromised to be there. Look, here's, and again, I use relationships as an example. If you're getting all 10 of your values met, you can make a list of 350, it would be nice if you were 6'2", had blue eyes, all those things. If your top 10 values are being met and you get one of that list of the 350, this would be nice things, you are destined for an amazing relationship. But if you are compromising even one of those values, you are on potentially a slow ride to a quick divorce, because you're not showing up authentically as yourself in order to fit into this paradigm.
Yeah, exactly.
It's never going to work.
Right.
It's never going to work.
You said a key word there, authentically.
Yeah.
Authentically. Because I think that a lot of people, and we're going to have to go to break in just a minute. I think that a lot of people discount who they are in order to be able to be in the relationship with the one that they think they belong with. And they try to mold themselves into whoever that person, the other person, thinks they should be. Ask me how I know that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like I said, it's a slow trip to a fast divorce.
Fast divorce. And a bunch of what I call come to Jesus moments, like, who are you and why are you here? And that's part of what we're talking about with Kimberly Rinaldi as we explore how to live joyfully. We'll be right back.
What if dreams can diagnose your life? What if we can meet the love of our life in dreams? Join host Kat O'Keefe Canavas, the #1 internationally best-selling author of Dreams That Can Save Your Life, written with Duke University medical doctor Larry Burke. Dreaming Healing is where we'll explore dreams, research, and interpret dreams from you, the caller. Dreaming Healing shows can be heard every Tuesday at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern, with live shows on the first and third evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific Time on syndicated Dream Vision 7 radio network. Come live your dreams out loud with Kat.
Are miracles real? Can you move from mayhem to miracles? 30 prominent authors say yes as they share their high fives and down lows of challenges, abuse, addiction, and love. Experience hope, the magic elixir of miracles, through the personal stories of New York Times bestselling authors James Redfield, Dr. Bernie Siegel, Sister Jenna, Reverend Temple Hayes, and many more. If you like bestsellers, chaos to clarity, and crappy to happy, you'll love crying and laughing through mayhem to miracles. Sacred stories of transformational hope. Available now on Amazon and in bookstores worldwide.
Omega Institute, offering workshops, retreats, and online learning dedicated to awakening the best in the human spirit. For over 40 years, Omega has seen more than 1 million people come through its doors to grow, learn, and find a greater sense of purpose. With over 350 workshops to choose from, Omega offers something for everyone. Located in Rhinebeck, New York, just 90 miles north of New York City, Omega's natural environment and quiet pace allow for extraordinary experiences to unfold. Learn more at eomega.org or call 877-944-2002. Again, 877-944-2002.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
Every time we come back from the break and I hear that, it's like, oh, that sounds so unbelievably enchanting.
It's like
to
this
say the least.
2-second meditation.
Yes, it is.
Relax. I was like, oh yeah, that.
And some of that, as a matter of fact, a lot of that goes into living joyfully, right?
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So before we went to the break, we were talking about, owning your values and really coming to know what's important to you and who you are authentically.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that you said as part of living joyfully is know your value. A lot of people are, especially women, don't know their worth. Don't know that they don't know their worth, don't know that they are worthy, don't know that they have a purpose of their own, save a single and separate from anyone else. Regardless of whether we're talking about a husband, a child, a sibling, or whatever, we each have our own inherent value. And how would you recommend, like, what is the first thing that you would tell somebody who's coming to you for coaching, or any other one of your healing modalities? What would be the first thing that you would tell them that would help to flip that switch from worthless to worthy?
The first thing is self-talk, the ability to, and again, I'm going to use language, quiet the shit flinging monkey that lives in our head. Look,
I love that.
as women, as girls, we're taught, be polite, sugar and spice and everything nice and all that other bullshit. It's the cookie conversation that I have all the time. 4 women sitting at a table having coffee. They're down to the last cookie. They've all had 2, but you know what? There were 9 on the table. That last cookie will sit on that plate as each woman goes, oh, I couldn't possibly. No, you, of course not. A man will walk through, say, good morning, ladies, grab the cookie and keep walking without a second thought about it. It has to do with perceived politeness that we are taught we must accommodate so many things as women. There's a lot of, and I don't want to get into feminism conversations, but there's a lot of behaviors that have happened to women over the years where we have been taught to smile and just tolerate. And I'm not saying that that's not an issue. What I'm saying is, you've got that internal compass. It either feels good or it doesn't. It either feels right or it doesn't. If you want the cookie, eat the cookie. Don't worry about it. Say thank you and eat the cookie. I know I'm the one who stands up. Whoops, I have a mosquito in here. I'm the one who stands up and says, nobody want the cookie? It's my cookie. Last chance. Because I'm not missing out on life anymore. I'm not waiting because it might be the right thing to do. I'm not accommodating other people's needs to the sacrifice of my own. And we're taught, as soon as we're wives, as soon as we're mothers, as soon as we're older siblings, as soon as we are fill in the blank, that we now have a responsibility as carers for other people to quiet our needs, to silence our thoughts, to put ourselves back in line. No. The oxygen mask drops in an airplane. They don't say, take care of everybody else first. Good luck. No. Affix the mask to your face and then help others. And if you're on Southwest, they say select the child with the highest earning potential. I'm in agreement with that. That has got to be my favorite one.
I never heard that before, but that's awesome.
Yeah. I'd be like,
Interesting.
But in all seriousness, there are a number of reasons, and what it comes down to, and this goes really deep, and I'm going to look at you, Teresa, and I want honesty, because I know I've done it. Very often we do things as women because it's the right thing to do, in the hopes that the other person will reciprocate with the right thing to do. blink, blink, blink. How often has that worked?
It doesn't. It doesn't. You know, it's like, what are you willing to, and this is going to sound extreme, but really when it comes right down to it, what are you willing to sell your soul for?
Mm-hmm. It is. Absolutely. It is. And, you know, I'm going to use my mother as an example. My father's been gone 15 years now. And hey, for the last 20 years of his life, all I got to hear from her was what a piece of crap, SOB, selfish, you name it. They didn't have a good marriage. There was violence, there was substance abuse, there was a lot of poor communication, there was a lot of unhealthy experience that came to the table, married, had children, and never fixed their own problems. So for the last 20 years, as she would complain, I'd smile oh so sweetly, because number one, I'd tell her, look, this is for your girlfriends. I'm his daughter. I don't disagree. The man is flawed, but I am not the person to be talking to about your marital issues, because the only thing you're going to get from me is then get a job, save your money, move out, and live a life you can be happy with.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're complaining about the same thing you've been complaining about for 40 years at this point. It was 60 to 2006. So 46 years they were married. And honestly, to hear them tell it, it was, 14 minutes in 1968 that were great.
Yeah.
And
that's sad. That's really sad. But the good thing is that, beyond all of the unhappiness and whatnot, as you just said, figure it out and move on is basically what the situation is. And let me just put a disclosure here. We are not telling anybody to leave their marriages or get divorced because they had a hard night last night or whatever.
No.
This is about really stepping in to who you are as an individual, saved from anyone in your life, whether it be your partner, whether it be, as I said before, a child, a sibling, whatever. And this is a lot of what we're talking about right now, Kimberly, is what you teach in your programs, what you teach in your coaching. And you have the unbelievable ability to help people get from 0 to 60 in seconds, as opposed to months and years and whatever. Let's talk a little bit about how you make that happen.
Well, I have ADHD, as I just fizzed out into the ethers there. I have ADHD. I have OCD. I will pick apart anything 1,000 different directions. And then because of the OCD, I decided that the last thing I needed is more rituals. So I will study a process and start applying different methodologies to it. And what I've learned is there are so many ways to heal that literally take seconds. That literally your brain, to go into biology of the brain, biology of behavior, I could get all metaphysical on you, or I could go completely biological and behavioral on you, and it's the same conversation. The reality is your brain likes to make change quickly. If you're in therapy for 10 years and all of a sudden on year 10, you're better, you're gone. It wasn't 20% resolved year 2, 40% resolved year 4. What happened is year 10, something clicked and your brain went, oh, that needs to happen. So I've studied literally thousands and thousands of hours with some of the top thinkers in the world and applied these tools and, taken it's the, what is it? The a la carte menu. I've taken this from this person and this from this person and put these two together and see how they work. And it was like, oh my God, I'm able to literally help people take a conversation that they have had. I mean, you've experienced it, Teresa, where you're fighting for this circumstance. This is what's wrong in your life. You verbalize it, you write it down, you look at it from a subjective unit of distress, SUDS unit. It's a 10 out of 10 trigger for you. By the time we're done with the 3-minute conversation, you're looking at it going, that's not right. I wouldn't say that. Why would I say that?
But it's so true, right?
That's
And it
how this stuff
happens.
works.
So what's something that, given the fact that, as we said at the beginning, Thanksgiving is just 3 weeks away, and there are people who are probably listening to this today or will listen to the replay who are wondering, who are really in a state of angst about making an invitation or not, or whatever. And I'm not going to bring in all of the other issues that are happening in the world today that may prohibit or preclude that. But
for a political conversation, we're going to have a political discussion over dinner.
No. We're going to say in how we can, despite the political conversation that's going on, how we can actually make a decision that's right for us and be comfortable with it, and leave all of the stuff that's being flung around by that monkey that lives in your head at the front door or wherever you want to leave it, just not in your brain anymore. What's something that we can do in order to be able to have people get past that line?
People are who they are. By the time the human brain, between 25 and 35, 25, the brain stops the basic development, 35, the personality is set. Okay. So anybody under 35, give them another chance. I'm just saying. 36, no. So in all seriousness, at 35, the personality is set. It doesn't mean people can't change. It just means that this is the direction they're leaning. They have to be highly motivated by discomfort in their own world in order to change. So what does that mean? People will show you who they are repeatedly. It is consistent and habitual behavior. So when it comes to my values, when it comes to my lines in the sand, I have a responsibility to communicate to somebody who's crossing those boundaries, who's just blowing through my boundaries. And once I've communicated it clearly, the next time it happens, I have this conversation. You either don't get it or you don't care to. So if you don't get it, please let me help you, because I've cut people out of my life for less, and I mean it. I am a very clear communicator, because honestly, I think life is too short for anything less than clear communication. I don't beat around the bush. I don't passively aggressively make conversations that other people will hear and bring back to that person. That's not how I operate, and I don't think that it's a healthy method of operating in the first place. So I am clear with this. You either don't get it or you don't care to. So show me where you land in this, because if you don't get it, it is my responsibility to help you get there. If you don't care to get it, that's not acceptable either. And that's where I make decisions based on patterned behavior. Doesn't mean that and I've said this, there are a handful of people in my world that I've had to say, look, I can't, it's irresponsible, unreasonable, and unrealistic of me to expect you to behave appropriately in my life when you're not behaving appropriately in your own. So I take responsibility for everything that happens around me. That being said, yeah, look at it. Are they getting it? Have you communicated it clearly? Have you given them the opportunity to bring it back to you? Ask questions, ask for clarity, make sure they've got it. Have you communicated it repeatedly? Are they still pushing those same buttons? And this was the same conversation I had when I was working and supervising in healthcare. Staff knew, as long as you're making new and improved mistakes, congratulations, you are a human being. Good luck, good job, good going. You're learning, you're growing. That's life. But if you're making the same mistakes repeatedly over and over and over again, whether you're an employee, whether you're a loved one, whether you're somebody that I adore dearly, you either don't get it or you don't care to, and neither is acceptable where I come from.
Yeah.
Just not.
Yeah. that's, and with that, we're gonna go to commercial in 1 minute. I want you to, when we come back, you mentioned healthcare. So I want to ask you, when you come back here, how does one go from being in corporate healthcare to doing the work that you do and really working in the metaphysical realm and other things? Once you've been in that world. And I had an experience today that really would like me to have you get this out into our listeners. So that being said, we'll be right back.
Darkest hours to brightest moments, transformation from despair to happiness, and chaos to clarity. Real people, real pain, real healing. Life-threatening illness, death, abusive relationships, divorce, and overcoming addiction are challenges these men and women faced head-on. See how they emerged stronger and happier. Buy the new book, Chaos to Clarity, Sacred Stories of Transformational Change, by Reverend Patricia Caginello and Kathleen O'Keefe Canavas. Available on sacredstoriespublishing.com and worldwide through Amazon and other retailers.
In a world facing annihilation, a miraculous African nun rises to become the first female pope through a web of war, murder, and betrayal. Loved by some, hated by many, she becomes the deadly target of Islamic terrorists and her own cardinals as she introduces a new vision that will either save humanity or accelerate its destruction. 4 people must race against a nuclear holocaust to learn her astonishing secret. Pope Annalisa is available at petercanova.com, Amazon, and other online booksellers and bookstores worldwide.
Did you know that every word you speak matters? What you say and how you say it can make or break a relationship or shift the outcome of any situation. Are your conversations making a difference? Faith in God, gratitude, authenticity, and giving are Teresa Velardi's heart. It's in this spirit that she's focused on making a difference in the lives she's blessed to touch. Conversations That Make a Difference is now on syndicated Dream Vision 7 radio network every Tuesday at 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern Time, with live call-in shows every first and third Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern.
Why are we here? How can we be happy? Questions asked from millennials to boomers. Crappy to happy. Sacred Stories of Transformational Joy answers them using true stories of grit, grace, and love. James Redfield, author of The Celestine Prophecy, wrote in the foreword, "This book is a seminar about emerging truths and offers grounded solutions through the art of the comeback." Dr. Bernie Siegel, a contributing author, wrote, "Bodies die, but spirits and consciousness survive and recycle." So, grab some tissues, open your book, and prepare to cry and laugh till it heals. Crappy to Happy by Reverend Ariel Patricia and Kathleen O'Keefe Canavas. Available from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and booksellers worldwide.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
I'm so glad the announcer was able to say what I couldn't say at the top of the hour about when we're on. So let's go back to what we were talking about. So you mentioned that you were in corporate healthcare,
Right.
And yet here you are in a completely different realm,
Yeah.
completely different atmosphere. How does one go from working in that arena to what you do now?
2 words: I quit. Actually, but it really was. I had gotten very unhealthy in healthcare. I was in corporate healthcare. I was in patient care for a number of years. And I knew I was making repeated decisions, bad decisions. I'd gained a ton of weight. I was having massive health issues. And decided I need a break from this. And I went into the insurance industry for what I remember at the interview, I said, I'll be here 6 months, maybe a year. The money was good. So 6 years later, I walked away and started doing this full time. But when I did that, it was the last financial crisis we had. And I walked away from a very lucrative insurance-based job that everybody told me, you're nuts. You're absolutely nuts. And I really seriously, it's going inward. This is this conversation that I'm going to keep having. It's the going inward. Everything inside of me, literally the words, every time I'd meditate, every time I'd check in, the words, this is your time. And the emphasis was on a different word each time. This is your time. This is your time. This is your time. That was the only answer I was getting. And I walked away January 2nd, 2009. But I walked around because I kind of came out of the psychic closet about the same time. So I walked around and gave everybody business cards, and I was a medical claims negotiator when I was in the insurance industry. Basically, I was a salesperson for a really piss poor concept, which is you're legally entitled to this money, but I'm going to talk you out of it.
Oh my goodness.
And I was good at it. I was a record setter where I worked at, saving literally millions of dollars annually that the out of network payee was entitled to. It saved the patient sometimes some out of pocket, but it saved the company hundreds of millions of dollars. Everything I did went against all of our conversations in training. I had the longest phone calls. I had fewer phone calls than anybody else, but I also got the deepest discounts because I just trusted my internal guidance and connected with people and had these conversations. And in doing so, made a lot of money. But what I realized was I was starting to have those health issues coming back up again.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wasn't living by my values. And that's something that we were talking about. You can't compromise your values in a relationship. You can in your job. You can in your career. You need to know, number one, what you're compromising them for. And you need to know it's not sustainable long-term. So you can do it. You can choose to, but it's going to end up costing you down the road.
Absolutely.
Health-wise, usually. So that's really what it came down to. Is there were two situations where I was forced to look at what was going on within me, take a step back, realign my values, get back to my value, look at, so what is the contribution of worth for me? I'm a researcher. I'm a consummate researcher. I'm a consummate teacher. So how do I do that? I was already trained as a coach and all of these things. So from there, I just spent the next year building what is Lessons in Joyful Living. It's a group of programs and courses and classes, and it's radio, and and it's basically helping people find what they need to heal from, to divine is what they're moving towards as far as their goals, and to help them get that spark of creativity and momentum that they need to start moving forward. I've been blessed to see, and I joke about all the things I do, but I mean, I've had 5 massive paydays in my work, and all 5 of them were atheists who walked away with some belief that there was something bigger they were a part of. And that
is better than any dollar you could ever put.
Those are my big paydays. Those are the ones that to this day, I mean, I'm telling you, and I get chills. Those are my paydays, to have people. I say, atheists are angry with God. I'd rather go up against an atheist than an agnostic. Agnostic want, they want a memo from God that's, got the certified stamp on it that he exists. I can't do that. That's why it's called faith. Yeah. But to see an atheist take a step back and realize they're part of something bigger, and then go and find that spiritual connection that they had been denying themselves.
Yeah.
Those are my paydays. Those are my big paydays.
Yeah. And that's a conversation we could have for hours, but keeping in line with what we're talking about now here. What you mentioned about intuition. Do you believe that everyone has intuitive abilities or has an intuition? I know a lot of people will say like, like there's something that some people in my life have been pressing me to do, and I will come back with, that has never been my guidance, and they look at me like I've got two heads, and I'm like, I know what it means to when you get that intuitive hit, or whether you feel like God has spoken to you. I mean, when I was standing at the altar and I was getting married, I clearly heard God say, don't do this. Clearly heard God say, don't do this, and looked around to see where that came from. Yeah. When it came from within, but I did it anyway. And then the rest is a story that I get a chance to write about every now and then, but that's intuition. That's like your guidance. And for those of you who don't believe that God can actually speak to you, every time you get an intuitive hit, that's a divine message, as far as I'm concerned. Does everyone have this, Kimberly?
Absolutely. Okay. So here's the problem. Everybody has this. It is your soul's superpower. It is part of your biology. It is part of your DNA. It is part of your brain biology. It is part of the neurotransmitter. It's part of the dopamine, the oxytocin. All of this biochemistry leads to intuition, is part of intuition. Okay. It's God remaining anonymous. Again, I can have the conversation from both sides of the aisle here, but what I'm going to tell you is it is inherently who you are. And everything that we experience through the media is designed to numb you to it. All of the mindless games we play on our apps, all of the time we spend in front of our screens, all of this is designed to keep you from remembering who you are. You've got to disconnect. I'm not saying you have to. I spend 30 minutes 3 times a day on social media because I consume what I need to create what I'm creating. I'm a creator, not a consumer necessarily. Mm-hmm. But that being said, I understand the value of not being connected all the time. I haven't had television. This is our 3rd year. I mean, and we had one TV before that, and I've disconnected all the stuff we stream if we want to, or we've got old movies that we want to watch. But I'm very, very careful about, because it's all energy and it's all intention. Everything in this world, what you perceive as solid right here, it's energy and intention. It's moving atomic mass and matter, more matter than mass, or more empty space than matter and mass, but it's all energy and intention. This is what we connect with. I help people connect back with that to the extent that some of my students go on to be professional psychics and mediums because they get so good at it. Mm-hmm. You all have that ability. If you are breathing, you have the ability to do everything I do, everything my students do. It is your soul's superpower. And we make mistakes for a reason. The reason is to learn from them. I tell people, start playing with your intuition, start guessing at things, we lose the ability to play. And that's where so much of this comes from. Get out into nature, get back into yourself, nurture the body, stay away from chemicals. That chemical exposures are a problem. I'm not, oh God, I'm going to use the term. I'm not a tree hugging hippie. I'm not. I'm not. I eat red meat. I drink. I curse. I do all these things. And I still have conversations with angels and with God. And I help people make those connections because I also understand I chose to be here in body, and I have to respect and honor that choice to be here in body. Yes, I am eternal. Yes, I am spirit. Yes, I am part of the divine. But for here and now, I get some great human experiences, like ribeye.
We only have a few minutes left. But let's talk about you. I know you said you have something for our guests, and this is something that can help you live more joyfully or help you embrace joy. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so tell us about it.
Okay,
and how they can get it.
So if you go to LIJL for Lessons in Joyful Living, LIJLgift.com, it's your choice. That's the name of the program. It's your choice. It's a 7-day challenge. Can you choose joy consciously over 7 days in 7-minute increments? So it's about a 5-minute video, a conversation, and about 2 minutes of contemplation. And it's less than an hour over the course of a week. If you start incorporating these exercises in, you're going to start seeing boundary setting that you've never seen before. You're going to start seeing all of these payoffs from bringing your attention and your energy back to you, to fabulous, wonderful, miraculous you. So it's your choice. It's a 7-day challenge. And I hope you all go, because I got a coupon up for it through the end of the year. You get it for free.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, I started this, and I must confess, I have let other things get in the way, and I have not completed it. But because you're bringing it to the table today, I am making a commitment to do the entire program in the week's time that it should take. So starting tomorrow morning, I'm going back to day 1, and I'm going to do this again. And anyone who would like to join me, please do so. I'm really excited that we had this chance to really talk to one another. I have a couple of quick questions that I want you to do, like rapid fire stuff here.
Yes.
So remember, and at the end, I'll have you give that information again real quick. So do you have a favorite quote?
Yes.
What is it?
What you do speaks so loudly that I cannot hear what you say. Emerson.
All right. We have to write that one down. What inspires you?
It sounds counterintuitive, but the atrocities that we are experiencing in the world. Every time I see pain or suffering, I'm going to cry. I'm inspired to stand up and do something about it.
Awesome. And I hope that in those words, when people hear those words, they will do the same thing. They would stand up and do something about it, that they would make a difference, even if it is a conversation. A conversation
Exactly.
goes a long
Exactly.
way. Absolutely. Absolutely. Give me one book that has influenced you the most.
Wayne Dyer, Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life.
Awesome. Awesome. And with that, one more time, the website?
LIJLgift.com.
Awesome. And the password and the code is there
for them to get it posted. For free. I made it easy. Yep.
Awesome. Kimberly, I want to thank you immensely for joining me today. This has been great fun. We're going to have to do it again. And for all of you who are listening, you can get in touch with Kimberly Rinaldi at KimberlyRinaldi.com or
LIJLgift.com.
Right. And then her website is there as well. So enjoy the beginning of the holiday season. I think I see you once more before Thanksgiving, everyone. And until then, I hope every conversation that you have makes a difference.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tune in next time for Conversations That Make a Difference with host Teresa Velardi every Tuesday at 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern, with live call-in shows every first and third Tuesday on syndicated Dream Vision 7 radio network. Thank you for listening, and thank you to our producer Rachel and to our station owner Deborah Beauvais, working behind the scenes. Be sure to go to conversationsthatmakeadifference.com for your free gift. Make sure your conversations make a difference.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.